Welcome to Cracked Movie
Wow.
Club, the cutting edge of all cracked content, if I'm being totally honest, and the show where we do a book club, but for movies, which are like books but better. And I'm going to clarify right off the top, this is a podcast. So if
Oh.
you get in the comments and you say a review longer than the movie, I will come to your house and I will yell at you probably.
And I would say actually most things are longer than this movie, to be
Yeah.
totally fair.
Well, it is a short film.
Really short little romp.
I'm your host. I'm your angry host who's been reading a lot of things today, feeling a lot of feelings, been assigned a lot of assignments. And you know what? I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jesse and Allie. Say hello.
Hi.
Whoa! I haven't read a single thing today. I'm hoping to go the whole day.
Can I be honest? I've only read one thing today, which is that I happened to pull up the chat just because I was like, I wonder if people are psyched about this movie. First comment, Mr. Flibble. This is hands down one of my favorite movies.
Cool.
Well, Mr.
Great day for me,
Flibble,
baby.
Mr. Flibble has a very specific fetish that this movie caters to.
It could be, and it
what?
truly could be anything.
Naked women?
Japanese women being eaten by pianos while going, oh,
How about getting your butt bit?
or getting your butt bit,
They
could
were
be
way
anything.
ahead of the game.
or like eating a watermelon that maybe was a head and maybe is also just a large man chomping down on
I
it.
love it. Just so good. There's so much to
Um,
discuss. There's so much to get into.
Spooky little kitty cats.
So I don't know why I deleted this. Also, it literally opens with sweaty Japanese schoolgirls taking photos of each other.
Yes.
That's a pretty specific like check.
I guess the dewiness didn't register with me because I was watching this as a piece of art and not as
Yeah.
not as
Jesse
just
knew
something
that
to
this was on the
stimulate me.
on the Criterion channel, so Jesse was watching this through the lens of the Criterion channel.
Mhm.
I feel like you're taking it that I'm complaining that I watched Fetish Fuel for an hour and a half. And you're not wrong, but I also, there were definitely some artistic moments that I really identified with. Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So again, this is a stupid ass podcast, but you can respond because the power of the internet. So if you have an alternate title, for example, somebody put Japan's, how do you say that movie?
Suspiria.
Suspiria. Okay, it is what it is.
Have we not? Okay, that could be one for the pod. That's a fun one too. Big
That could be an
fan.
alternate title. Throw your alternate titles in the chat. If you have observations, your
Or
favorite,
fetishes.
favorite fetish,
Jesse,
throw it in
don't
there.
don't tempt anyone.
And Brian will tag them, and we might look at it. We might talk about it.
Brian, only
Brian's
if
here,
you-
too. See. We're just gonna pull Brian in more and more
Yeah.
because nothing.
Wait,
nothing.
now that Brian's here, I want to reveal. I have something I'm here to reveal.
Oh my god!
Ready? I'm gonna move my mic out of the way for this.
Oh my god! Are you not wearing pants?
I'm
'cause
not
of the
wearing
fetish?
pants, but I am wearing my Hausu t-shirt.
Hausu, yes.
Yes.
Oh my god!
baby.
Wait,
Ooh,
what?
That's
Wait,
very
why-
good.
I didn't
know.
get that. That's
Is
why-
it so good?
Why do you care, Brian?
Wait, there was a
Isn't that
cat?
good?
I'm a fucking nerd.
Thank
Wait,
you,
do
Brian. I knew I could count on Brian for this.
I love this movie.
Was this already established that Brian? You already knew that Brian was a fan of this?
Nope. But Brian always has my back, so I am not surprised.
All right. Well, Brian, you didn't have my back, so you're fired again.
Sorry,
Right.
that's my
Where'd you get the shirt? Is that like official merchandise? Is that like an
I
artist?
got the shirt. That's a really good question. I actually saw a man wearing it on the street. Went, whoa, Hausu, I love this. And he went, oh, I just got this on.
Etsy.
It's hold on, no. It's a website that always has like movie nerd,
Fetishstees.net.
Fetishstees.net. No, it's like Super Yaki HQ. They always have like movie stuff, and sometimes it's like really niche, and sometimes it's like, like this is a Ryan Johnson joint. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're always like very movie-y. And I think they were celebrating a Hausu thing.
I love that, and we should do that. Who would buy a Hausu shirt drawn by
Me.
Allie? Can you draw?
No.
Oh.
Oh yeah. So our store just got relinked, by the way, and all our crack store for the YouTube channel is mostly Horton stuff. So it's just a bunch of like Horton Industry shirts or like hard fizzy poison water shirts talking about our hard seltzer knockoff.
But
But
this
anyway,
one is good. It has lots of little Easter eggs. If you actually have seen the movie, which you guys have now. So it's like the orange
so good.
lipstick. It's all reversed. The orange lipstick and the lips and the hand and the jar. And over here, there's an eyeball on a spoon. And
sort of feeling like
watermelon.
you're
Oh,
your
yeah.
own fetish video now.
Oh, sorry, I'll
Yeah,
be right
sorry. Extreme close-ups are one of my fetishes, actually. So,
Wait, Jesse's got to. Oh, okay, well, you got to take care of what you got to take
Jesse.
care of. I was going to ask Jesse to recap
Jesse
the
got
film
eaten
that
by
we're
the
talking
chat.
about, which is House from 1977. It is a Japanese. Oh,
Speaking
right.
of hand in the jar, have I shown the hand in the jar before?
You
Oh
have.
yeah, you have.
Right,
Here
okay.
we go.
My R.L. Stein
So it
hand.
actually
There we
was a
go.
reference to Hausu all this time.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Jesse, you want to recap this movie for us?
You bet I do.
So that the people in the comments can get on with their lives.
Yeah.
How dare this review be longer than the movie?
Yeah. Reviewing something or recapping something is actually the highest form of art.
And flattery.
And flattery. So this is a movie about a Japanese schoolgirl who comes home one day expecting to meet her dad, who's just back from an Italian vacation, and go on a much longer summer vacation with him. The dad reveals that he's in fact about to or has recently gotten married, and she decides, I hate this. I'm going to go live with my aunt for the summer. My aunt whom I've never met out in the countryside.
I've never heard anyone say aunt the way that you are, but I just keep going. I'm enjoying it.
I say aunt. I prefer aunt to aunt. Aunt makes me feel odd.
I've never said it out loud. I've only ever written it, which means that I have a higher IQ than all of you.
That's my argument, but continue.
She gets in touch with her aunt, and she's going to go hang with her for the summer, but decides to bring all of her friends who don't have any plans for the summer.
And her male teacher.
And was he there?
Well, they needed a chaperone. He didn't make it.
He's trying to come the whole time, but he has a bucket stuck on his ass, if you remember.
Yeah, and then he dies in a manic freak out about how much he loves bananas. I think that's the last time we see him.
Mm-hmm.
Right, as teachers sometimes do.
Yeah. So anyway, the story starts then when these 7 girls show up to this spooky old house, Sue, and
good one.
They're all slowly just consumed, literally devoured in most cases, by the house and various parts of the house. And so you're left to wonder, is the house the evil thing? Is the suspiciously hot old lady aunt the evil thing? Is the suspiciously hot kitty cat with flashing green eyes the evil thing? And so, yeah, they just are all fighting for their lives stuck inside of this haunted house.
I would say that's pretty accurate.
I'm unclear as to how it ends.
Yeah.
Does anybody live?
Not for long. Gorgeous is still alive.
Gorgeous.
Because she welcomes the new wife into the house, and they have that amazing weird long shot where they both go like this to shake hands.
Well, but she died. Isn't she like a ghost she's dead at that point?
I think she's a living lady. And then Gorgeous, by the way, all of their names are just words for the trope that they represent.
Yeah, which is so fun also.
I love it.
It felt very Stand By Me or like the Goonies or any of these like 70s adventure, like everybody's named Chum Bucket or whatever. They all have like their
Chum
little
Bucket.
Weird names for each other. I was thinking of that actually because like I thought the movie did a really good job of making them seem like this like quirky group of buddies instead of just like a lot of horror films. Okay, they did sexualize them at a certain point, like toward the end as they start dying gruesome deaths. They're also just inexplicably naked, or sometimes it's just the boobs, disembodied boobies
flying around.
Yeah. But I think prior to that, it felt like this is a bunch of goofball buddies that like you would want to hang out with, or maybe you are one of them. So their tropes are just pretty fun. And it felt, more like a Goonies sort of situation than it did like the classic, bunch of hot, dumb people stuck in a house.
All those dumb hotties, stupid.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Allie, why did we watch this?
I love this movie. I love it so much. I watched it for the first time when I was doing this unbelievably strange improv thing called the Art House Improv Movement, which was we were trying to recreate the surrealist feeling of seeing an art house movie on stage that we were making up in the moment. It was at times unbelievably successful and at times painfully unsuccessful, but it was still really fun to do. And so we all would watch the weirdest stuff we could possibly find to sort of expand our horizons on like what the concept of a movie could even be. Because we were really trying not to do things that felt funny, and we were really trying not to do things that felt story based. Like it was really supposed to have that like bizarre, surreal, like I'm just moving through time feeling of like an art house film. Watched it and was like, huh, that was incredible. It's like fun and funny. I think it is like there are moments where it's like genuinely as funny as any comedy has ever been. Like the fact that this young wife gets introduced and only she has this like wind fan on her at all times, and she like steps
Very
around the
funny.
corner and she's got like a big scarf blowing on her. Like that's a trope straight out of comedy, period. Do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing about that that's meant to be like, oh, spooky. Like it's just funny. And I don't know. I think the movie is like unapologetically weird. It's both gorgeous and incomprehensible at times. It has so much fun with tropes that it then immediately discards. Like when they're introducing the town that they live in before they get on the bus to leave, and it's like a 70s sitcom opening with people like leaning out the window and waving at each other before they get on the bus, and then that's never ever ever revisited again. It was just for the joy of that one moment. I love it. I also think that it's like surprisingly poignant / like it sneaks it in. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of it that's like style over substance, very much on purpose, I feel, not because like the director was like self-indulgent, but because like it was all about trying to get as many things on camera as humanly possible. But like, so auntie, whatever we want to call her, depending on how we want to pronounce it, like she has this monologue where she talks about how no pair of lovers will ever truly die as long as like the love that they had is being experienced by new lovers. And like you can take that to be very romantic, of just like, oh, isn't that nice? Like you, like even if 70 years ago you and your husband were separated by war, as long as people are still young and falling in love, your love will never die. This movie's like, what if that was a curse? What if you were so haunted by this like loss of love? What if it was a slap in the face to see every young girl grow up to be like young and full of potential and have the capacity to go on and make these new relationships and fall in love? And like, what if that was the cornerstone of like the ghost house curse, as opposed to a saccharine platitude? And so she, in the spirit of her house, has become this like bitter cannibal who wants to eat the youth and the love and the potential because she's so sad and so spurned. And of course, it's bizarre, as we've said. And I think a lot of it is like, what can we get away with? How can we make this be on camera? Like, how can we show a girl getting eaten by a piano in the most interesting way possible?
Yeah.
And so like a lot of it is completely incomprehensible. Like if you want to try and dig for the metaphor of the reason as to why it eats her fingers first and then she's just body parts flying around, like I don't know if there is an answer to that. I think that's just for fun.
Really quick on that point, one of the reasons this movie got greenlit in the first place is because I think it's Toho or whatever, the studio had been losing a lot of money on what they called comprehensible movies. So they said they wanted to make an incomprehensible movie, which is the craziest business reason to do something I've ever heard. But
also, apparently,
I think it worked out.
The story behind this is that this is the year 1977, so this went into production in 76. 75 is Jaws. Jaws was a huge international hit. Right. Everybody wants their next Jaws. So Toho goes to this director Obayashi, and goes, hey, give us Jaws. You know Jaws, right? We all know Jaws. Can you do Jaws?
Yeah. Jaws was like a piano, right?
Yeah, Jaws was like about a piano.
But well, it does have that I do think the main theme immediately reminds you of Jaws.
I think it's on purpose.
Like the right next to each other dissonant piano notes or whatever feels Jawsy.
Well, this was his version of Jaws. Like he went home and was like, Jaws. So they're scared of a thing and the thing could eat them. What is that? And so the story says he had an 11-year-old daughter at the time, and he was like, remember Jaws? What should we write a movie about? Like if let's write a scary movie. And she was like, what if a bunch of teenage Japanese girls went to the countryside and got eaten by a house? And he was like, Done.
What
No,
if?
no notes. I'm actually not going to change that at all. I'm going to do exactly that, which is great.
I thought maybe it wasn't the main theme, but there was definitely a point when Melody, if you'll believe it, Melody is the name of the girl who loves music.
Ah,
She starts plinking away, and it sounded like the beginning of the Black Parade.
oh my God,
Like,
so much.
Did you catch that?
I wrote that down.
That's really good.
It's like dun dun dun, and then
I
it's
was
just
like,
it's a different note
"Whoa."
after that. But it's,
That's so good.
I was like,
Truly,
my God.
truly, if only.
My
So
Chemical
goth.
Romance stole it.
When did the goth movement start officially?
With
Is
this
this, like,
movie, yeah.
With this,
with this movie. This
Yeah.
spawned goths. Yeah.
I don't know. I was doing research for an article at some point, and people can push it back further and further and further, because you could say like Frankenstein, when that was written, there were weirdos who liked stuff like that, and you could point
There
to
were
it.
weirdos who liked stuff like that.
No, I just mean like that's indicative of like, oh, there's enough of a subculture of like weird people that like creepy death things like that can go.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
could
yeah.
push that as pretty far down the road if you want. You can kick.
Actually, old-timey people loved creepy death things.
Right. Well,
Like
that's
so
all I'm
much.
saying.
Like everything's just like, this is a locket with my lover's hair in it. And you're like, okay. That's all that stuff. Mary
Right.
Shelley definitely seems like that kind of person, because she was like 19 years old and probably like, no one understands my heart. And I'm stuck in a house with, Byron, and he's boring me. I'm going to write Frankenstein. Anyway, that's my dramatization of when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
Isn't the actual story? I don't know. Like, I think the real story is like she wrote it in the course of a night because she was bored with her friends, and her friends were all like,
yes.
See. Oh yeah, it's like, let's see who can write the weirdest thing the quickest.
She wrote us not the full thing, but she wrote like almost all of it, / like the premise of it, because they were like, let's write stories and see who can freak each other out the most. And then she was like, okay. And then like they all went off and wrote things, and she came back and had written like the bare bones of Frankenstein.
So sick.
I can't get my friends to do anything.
I know. And I think it's also because she like really hated Byron, the poet and the author Byron. And so she was sort of like,
oh,
this is my chance to fucking show him how lame he is. His story's going to suck and mine's going to rock. And then like, they all went back around the fireplace, and he probably read his stupid story. And she was like, gee, I only just finished mine. Psych, this is Frankenstein. Get your dumb asses ready to listen to me.
One day, Aaron Eckert's going to be in it, and it's going to be called I, Frankenstein, and it's going to be the pinnacle of all modern entertainment.
And they're never going to gender swap it.
Not ever. No way. In Frankenstein, they gender swap Frankenstein. They're immediately like, we got to make a woman of these.
It
seems like we don't have some Frankenstein fans in the house. Seems like I'm surprising you with the plot of Frankenstein.
Well, you are. I know of Frankenstein is the pop culture, like, residual memory of it, which is just like, dumb guy made out a bunch of people.
Yeah, I read it in one of my English classes, and I have seen I, Frankenstein so many times. No, I've actually never seen I, Frankenstein, but I'm sure it's great. Yeah, I'm aware of it. I don't remember the woman that much, but
whatever. It happens towards the end. I was reading about. Okay, so it's two things I learned about Hausu that I did not know. It seems like it was only really introduced to English-speaking audiences in about 2010. If you were like such a fan of the genre and you were really digging deep, it is of course possible that you found this and found it subtitled or worked to have it subtitled or something. But it was not acquired by the Criterion Collection and like remastered and available for like streaming or rental until 2010. So when this did hit in 2010, it was like a big deal to the art house film community, to the experimental community, and also to like the weirdo horror genre like
community,
the specificest of the specificest community. I think I probably watched this in 2018. And to me, I was like, I can't believe I missed this for so long. But it turns out I probably only could have seen it 8 years before that, even if I had tried.
Right.
Unless you had one of those weird friends that had like the original Dragon Ball Zs that like weren't even dubbed in English and had like weird sex jokes and naked people in them. That's
Right,
the guy that would have had this movie before 2010.
He's like, I actually dubbed this myself. This is what I think they're saying.
I'm gonna
Okay.
call this one gorgeous because she's gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I sort of auto-corrected in my own brain that Mac was short for McDonald's. It's actually short for stomach.
I thought it was mac and cheese.
See, there you go.
Stomach? Oh, come on.
I know. I was like disappointed almost.
So good.
But I was reading like from 2010 when this was debuted and a whole new audience of people got to see it. The British Film Institute left a review that called it The Evil Dead meets Yellow Submarine. I think that is so correct. It's like 70s psychedelic, doesn't make sense, gorgeous to look at, occasionally very creepy and scary. It's the plot of any horror movie, which is a bunch of girls are in a house and we're all going to die somehow. Let's find out how. But, in most movies, they don't get crushed to death by mattresses that came to life.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
Not super frequently, no.
I just think it's great.
Was she
love
turned into a doll, or was that doll always under all the mattresses?
Well, it was already in the room when she went in.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
That's why she goes in the first place. Is the doll is sort of like, and she's
Okay.
like, oh, cool, a doll. It's like, ah! She's like, I guess I'll just keep looking at this.
And then a mattress jumps on you.
Now, what
then many
happens
more.
to these bodies? Okay, so the aunt is full on dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If anything, she's like a corpse, right? Doesn't her mummy come out and get kung fu'd at some point? Or I think kung
There's
fu.
a skeleton that's
Yeah,
out
there's
and
a
about
skeleton.
a lot.
It's like
They
that
bought
dancing
a
skeleton.
they bought a PNG of a skeleton and put it in the background of every scene.
Just going
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so fun though.
He seemed to be that felt like a very Japanese thing where it's like this extra character on screen that's showing you the emotion that you should be feeling.
Yeah, possibly.
Because he's
It
never
also-
really spoken to.
It's also like interesting because the more that I think about it, the aunt, even if she was alive and not a ghost, really couldn't have been that old anyway because the war was somewhat recent. Like, she is not a decrepit old woman. And it's another interesting sort of metaphorical, visual thing insofar as like painting the picture of this house is in disarray and this woman is like decrepit, but like in truth she would have been like 45. Like she isn't an old person.
Well,
And I think that like
55, 60.
okay, fine, 55. She wouldn't have been old. In the picture of her as a
Okay.
young woman, as a bride,
Yeah,
like,
but
she's
she's-
gorgeous as age. She's like high school.
All right, but let's do a little math. Not the bombs were dropped in what, 44, 45?
No, I think this is a different war. Hold on.
No, 100% is World War II.
I think they said World War II.
Also,
I think I read that.
What is a more recent Japanese war that would be relevant to this movie that her husband would
No,
be?
you're right. The atomic
Korean War?
tragedy of Hausu is what
The
it's
war on
saying.
women.
The war. I was thinking of the war on women.
My husband was
Baltimore
drafted in the
Punk
war on women. He never came back. Yeah.
That's very funny. Did you guys
I
know the
love
band,
that.
the War on Women? It's like Baltimore punk band. It's very funny the idea of like
Did I know
Um,
the band, the Baltimore punk band, the War on Women?
Yeah,
Yes,
pretty
yeah,
popular.
Of course.
they're
Yeah.
pretty popular, but it's
My
funny.
Chemical Romance, the War on Women, and
It's just like some guy being drafted into this all-female, female-fronted Baltimore punk band.
I love that.
Anyway,
so
like-
if she's 20 at the beginning of the war, she's probably 65 now.
Sure.
Or 55. 55.
Like just she's not a very old woman who has wasted away forever. It's really about like the loss of potential and how heartbreak can
Yeah, but she's for
really
sure dead.
stunt
She
your
like
life.
she
Yeah.
like gets sucked into the fridge and dances in the rafters and
yeah.
Right. But like
so,
math wise, if she's 65, this is a woman who died when she was 35. And so it's really about like a loss of potential and the tragedy of youth. And,
and
there's a
about
lot
how
of stuff underneath the purposefully manic visuals.
yes.
So my question is, she is not a corporeal being, but so
I think she
but
is. I mean, I think it's like what it's like a freaking. You think that really they thought that through that hard? I think it's a freaking
I
hot.
think they should have. So let's
You
say
can
then
play
she's
the
a
piano, but then the piano can also eat you. I don't think there's like very clear rules. Sometimes a watermelon's a head. Sometimes it's a watermelon.
So it's a watermelon.
Sometimes you're a whole big ass pile of bananas. I don't know that like you're gonna
yeah.
get a lot from.
Well, yeah, a lot of getting through the logic,
Uh,
but this does feel pretty integral. So if okay, let's say she's a zombie and she's literally eating these girls. Do we think that she's
Yeah.
actually physically
Ye-
consuming them?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and again, think means nothing. This is just what I think. I think that she is the house. And so I
Mhm.
think that the ghost of Auntie and the house are one and the same. And so like when the
guess.
piano eats you, she eats you, but also when she's eating an eyeball with a spoon, like that's also true. Like I think the house is the entity, which is Auntie, which is I don't know, grief. I don't know. This could be an
So
A24 movie now if you wanted it to be. You could be like, "Oh my god, it's about a woman who lost her husband in the war and it's actually a metaphor for grief." It's like, "All right."
so if she's the
It's
house,
bad
which
bananas.
I'm on I'm on board with that, but so as soon as somebody walks into the house, they have been they've been eaten by the house. Then they don't need to feed unless they have to feed the piano, have to feed the goldfish.
Well, they don't even really try to leave, so it's not really clear. Like they're not super interested in what the rules are. You know what I mean? Like
They
they're
do
not.
try to leave though. They
At
get
one time
scared.
they do.
All the doors
Gorgeous
close.
walks out.
Yeah.
Oh, at the very, very end when
All
they're
the doors
floating and
close
shit.
and then Prof is
Okay.
like, "I have an idea. If the doors close, the doors can open.
Doorknob.
Let's go find Auntie and she'll tell us how they open." And then they're like at that point they're trying to leave.
Okay.
I guess my real question, besides the fact that it would be very disrespectful, is why couldn't Kung Fu chop through a wall?
And in fact, she does. She kung fu's some sort of Halloweeny entity through a wall into the outside. At one
She
point,
Kung Fu's a
should've-
lot of things, but and at no point they let her go through the paper wall. Come on, let her
But that's what I'm
rip,
saying,
let her out.
late in the movie, she literally does pop through the wall, but then they don't even try to escape. Then they go back inside the house and fight Auntie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's freaking a magic art house. Like I don't know what you want. I'm not getting of all the movies in the world. I'm not getting hung up on the specifics of how things are supposed to work in this.
Yeah.
You don't
freaking-
have to. Allie and I will.
Yeah,
Please do.
What I do like about this movie, which is chaos in so many ways, is that it feels extremely intentional in its vision a lot. Maybe not always. There are definitely some parts of the movie that are just sort of like, okay, interesting, okay. But one of my favorite shots in the movie is when they are first getting to Auntie's house and they're all sort of around her in the kitchen and she turns to Gorgeous and has like a little bit of a private moment with her where she's like, "I've been waiting for you to come visit me for such a long time." And then she turns back and says something sort of polite of just being like, "Yeah, I'm sorry it's been such a long I've been so busy with school, but I'm really happy to be here." And it's close-ups straight on them to the camera, overlaid against what's happening in real time in the background. So like it's not like it cuts to a close-up. It's literally like a vaguely opaque overlay of me looking down into the camera being like, "I'm so glad you came, Gorgeous." And then like those have this like dreamy private aspect while not cutting out of the real world and just seeing the other girls just sort of like in real time very casually looking around the house behind it. And it's like, first of all, that's so cool. Why did they do that? Who would have thought of that? I love it as a storytelling device. But it also weirdly foreshadows that they're like destined to be the same person. And it's just so good. It's so on purpose. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that was not the accidental work of a filmmaker. Like all of it is so considered.
Well, there's also like that other scene. I don't think this is what you just said. I zoned out because Gay Buns Brap said something and sort of.
Sorry, good excuse. I didn't know that me talking was less important than Gay Buns Brap. But now that I hear that, I completely understand.
Look, I'm a podcast professional. There's also the scene where one of the girls, and I can't remember which, I think it was Prof maybe, is blinking one eye back and forth.
Oh, that's old Blinky.
But the camera angle is slightly changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't understand why, and then it shows that she's blinking. And
Yeah,
like,
I thought that was cool as shit.
well, that's just a guy
Having
walking
fun.
around set going like, hey.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what this movie is. I honestly think the fact that it's greenlit partially with the literal understanding. They're like, make it incomprehensible. Who gives a shit? Because like they clearly had a budget for some stuff too. Like
Oh, yes.
the scene at the end where the floor is water and like the floor is lava, essentially. That scene was pretty awesome. I was like,
Yeah. How many cats did they have to drain of their blood to fill up
Also,
an entire house?
Some of those cats were extremely well trained. They could really, they jumped, they moved, they danced, they pranced. Those are some well trained cats.
yeah,
was
you guys are
definitely
right. When I was talking about the high budget, I meant all the
cat
cat
training.
training.
Budget.
Yeah,
There was one time where it was supposed to look like the cat like jumped onto somebody's lap or something, but it was clearly thrown.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Didn't have.
Whee!
Yeah.
I think it went to the aunt's lap or something. She's like, my
Yeah.
cat. It's like thrown like overhand
that.
at her. Yeah. That was but again, like at the end, in particular, just kind of that final set piece and all the crap flying around. I was like,
Really cool.
this is a weird ass movie, and they didn't clearly possess the technical know-how to green screen.
Yes.
Or whatever.
One of the best examples of that, of a piece of filmmaking that I find fascinating and effective despite it not looking very good, is when Gorgeous is putting on her aunt's lipstick in the vanity, and there's a moment where they like, you can't tell if it's the aunt as a young woman or her, and then there's a fire in the vanity, and then Gorgeous is entirely made of fire, and then her face cracks off, and it's like the merging of their two souls, and so it's a fantasy and Auntie become the same person in that moment, and like the effects look terrible, like they don't look very real, but the intent is still quite affecting, to the point where I'm like, I wish I could see just this moment redone with somebody who with 2020's decade of filmmaking know-how.
Well, this movie would be so horrifying. I mean, it would be overwhelmingly terrifying if it was competent CG, in my opinion.
But what if it was insane CG and cartoony? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, but like, what's a good example of like Sharknado?
No, because that's a limitation of budget. What is a movie that is done in a stylistic way so that it's like campy or silly or
with
looks,
CG?
Somebody must have an answer to that.
I
feel like David Lynch is close to that. Do you know what I mean? Where he'll be like, and then it's a toy car. No, don't tell them why. Just cut to a wide shot and it's a toy car driving. And then when we cut back, it's actually a woman in a car. And you're like, why? And he's like, I don't know. I'm David Lynch. I can do whatever I feel like. Do you know what I mean? Like he could afford to have a wide shot of a car, but he like chose to do that. I don't know. Maybe he's the best example of that right now.
I don't know. I just think the idea of CG body parts flying around. I mean, like there are legitimately, again, at the end was pretty terrifying, and I thought the clock gushing green blood was pretty freaking terrifying. And apparently, speaking of the cat blood, like the way that they filmed that scene was apparently a secret for a long time. Like it was really tricky. They didn't just color the film. It was like they like dyed it blue. I should look it up, but I also, I don't try that hard for this podcast.
Oh no, so certainly don't need to.
Yeah, but look it up if you're interested. There's a lot of interviews that I thought about reading and then didn't because I had a million other things to do. But there's, this guy went on to have a relatively successful career, if I'm not mistaken, just making weird stuff, which is kind of a thing that
also
doesn't
a
really
lot
happen
of
anymore.
Commercials. He was like a very prominent, very influential director of TV commercials because he had such a clear style and his sense of color and playfulness was so interesting.
He made the commercial where Drake explodes in Sprite.
Oh, great.
No, he didn't. I don't believe you.
No, he absolutely did not.
But this movie does kind of look like a Japanese commercial for something. Just all the crazy cutaways and kind of the inexplicable drawings. I saw we did a short or something recently of American celebrities going to Japan to be in their commercials because they pay really well and they're hoping that Americans won't see them in these crazy things. It was pretty fun. But the Japanese commercials, at least a lot of them have been more like almost it very intentionally subliminal. Like you might not even really quite understand what the hell the product is because it's so crazy. Anyway, I could see a guy that made this movie really cleaning up in that world where he's like, you want to sell piano? What if it eats them? And they're like, that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but
I'll take 20.
Anything goes. Yeah.
Give me 20 pianos. I need a piano in my home now.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is like interesting about the movie is that obviously this is not like some great deep exploration of character. Like these girls just have one name that links to a personality trait that they have. But I also feel like there's a sense of love. Like I don't get the same strangely hateful voyeuristic feeling of a lot of other like women are in a house and they're all going to die things. And also I do think it's largely because this idea truly came from his 11-year-old daughter who was like, what if girls went to a house and died? And like
and my fat friend died first and we don't have to be nice to her.
Use her real name. And he's like, no, sweetheart, we're going to call her Mac. And she's like, no, use my friend's real name. She needs to know I want her to die first.
Well, I actually think part of that stems from the fact that only 2 of them had ever acted in anything ever.
Yeah.
But they were largely all amateurs and they were all models. And so he was collecting them from his commercials and putting them in his weird movie. And apparently there's like a whole bunch of stuff about like the nude scene, like where they were like teaching each other how to be naked because some of them had and some of them hadn't. And then when he saw one of them like being naked for the other, he's like, oh, you should have one too, which is again part of this. It's definitely not some fetishy kind of
I mean there is definitely
in here.
If a movie is about the delicious sensual power of female youth, right? If that is literally the point of the movie, I don't think it's insane to be like, and then we'll look at her body. Do you know what I mean? Like again, it doesn't feel hateful to me. It doesn't feel I can't wait to watch this sexy bitch die. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like a sense, there is weirdly a sense of love in it that it's hard to explain.
I missed this sexy bitch already.
Aw, that sexy bitch was someone's daughter.
Maybe, but they were the only dad we see is the rich mean daddy. Well, I don't even know if he's mean.
Yeah, and also their teacher who they're obsessed with. I do love that one cutaway where she's like having a dream fantasy of him riding in on a horse and sweeping her up, and it's like kind of made like a postcard. It's so good.
Yeah, and she's like he says his line of dialogue is, "I saved you. I love you."
Yeah,
it's like such like a teen thing to think.
It's so good. I guess like as silly as some of the characters act, and like of course there is that sense of like voyeurism because it's literally about a house watching you and waiting to eat you. Like there is a voyeuristic sense to it. It's just lacking something that feels disdainful, and it's kind of hard to put into words because I'm sure if I tried to, I would just talk myself into a hole. It's kind of like that saying about porn where you're just like, I know it when I'll see it. Like this movie just feels
like porn.
It's like porn, but for the heart.
It feels like heart porn.
No, it's the opposite. It's like my heart's getting hard.
Let's call it that.
Hardcore.
Yeah, no, I agree. Brian put in the comments, there's a childish lens to the whole movie. And I think that's definitely true. Like I mean, all the drawings and stuff. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of serious movies in the world that are hand drawn on top of live action. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Maybe he's an exception.
Yeah,
but like in general, that immediately is going to be like, oh, okay, this kind of like immediately distances you from getting to experience it kind of immersively, I suppose. This movie was not really worried that I was like, what's going to happen next? I'm so scared and invested in what will happen from like I don't know. Imagine if I was in a house that ate me.
Yeah. And like you can tell that like that spirit of like listening to a 10-year-old's idea about what is scary, the joy of that was definitely kept and not tried to like over explain or be like, sweetie, how would that work? How would they get there? And it's like, I don't know, by
not
a
worried
bus.
about that.
Like, it's like, why isn't a parent there? It's like, I don't know. He turned into bananas. It's like, great justification. I'm putting that in the film. It's nice. There's
you
a
guys,
love in it.
Okay, so I am definitely gonna write a horror movie with each of my children now.
Yes, please.
I really need to figure out what Swede thinks. So last night, last night I'm putting my daughter to bed, and she's like, "Dad, I'm not gonna be able to sleep. Don't
Aw.
go. We should snuggle more." And I was like, "Actually, did you know that you've fallen asleep every single night of your life? And I really don't think that tonight will be the exception." I was like, "Here's what you can do. You can what I like to do is count sheep, which I don't do, but you say these things." And she's like, "Sheep? We don't have any sheep." I was like, "Well, like we're gonna pretend." And she's like, "That they're in the room? Sheep don't go in rooms." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but like we're just pretending." And she's like, that doesn't make any sense,
It could be
Dad." I was like,
scarier than a bedroom full of sheep, Dad.
I was like, "You're right. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot." I was like, "What if we meet up in our dreams?" And she's like, "How am I gonna find you?" I'm like, "Damn it."
Now that's a scary thing to say. Don't you know
Don't
that's how the
worry.
kid gets lost in Insidious? Fool.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh
I,
my god.
But your daughter has.
I know that like that's supposed to be one of the good ones, but I never any of those like one name ones. I don't.
Insidious? No, stop.
No, I know it's one of the good ones. I
It's
understand.
so fantastic. It is fun. It is like being on a scary little roller coaster ride.
Okay, that's
It's
fine.
so fun.
I'm happy to do it on this podcast. I'm just
We
saying
should.
that in the 2010s, when I was in college, people were always like, "Let's watch a modern horror movie," and it was always like The Skeleton Key or some shit, and it was terrible. And I was like, I don't want anything that's been made from this era. And Insidious was one of these that kind of came out around this time, and I was like, you can't convince me this is good. Every other movie you've shown me, Spencer, is terrible. That's all I'm
Got
saying.
that, Spencer?
Yeah, Spencer.
You're that Spencer? I'm going to put you in a movie, make you die first at a well
My daughter's gonna kill you in her movie.
when a watermelon bites your ass.
Yeah, Spencer. I'm gonna
Gotcha, Spencer.
whatever beat you again in fantasy football. Spencer doesn't watch. Spencer doesn't subscribe. Don't be like Spencer. Skeleton Key is a thriller at best. Skeleton Key is a movie at best. That was the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the worst thing I'd seen in a long time.
Can I say another one of my favorite visual
Please.
parts of this movie? I
Yes.
really love when they're in the kitchen and then in a very like theatrical sort of like roguish way, Auntie disappears backwards into the fridge and like closes the door behind her and then like reappears and like looks right into the camera like wasn't that like ain't I a stinker? It has like Bugs Bunny energy and
Yeah.
I like really love that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird. Again, nothing really matters or makes sense. But it's weird that she was just like whichever kid kept seeing it. It wasn't Melody, right? It was
I think it was
Eyeballs.
I think it was fantasy because they kept being like, fantasy, you're so crazy.
Oh.
That's what we
Yeah.
call you, fantasy, you crazy bitch.
Yeah.
You know?
So she was just screwing with her. Maybe that's because it was her thing, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that to Prof because Prof would figure it out.
Yeah, or
maybe.
she'd find some way to logic around
Or
it
Kung
whatever.
Fu would kick you in the head or whatever.
I
Anyway.
do love Kung Fu.
Kung
I
Fu
think
was
Kung
cool.
Fu is one of the best characters created for the screen. Maybe ever. She's so fun and everyone loves her. They're always like, Kung Fu, go get it. And then she's like, got it, guys.
All right.
Pow, boo, pow, boo. Just like so fun. Really just a good character. Just love her.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's the Goonies, but imagine if one of them was, well, imagine they had a character named Krav Maga. Let's say, let's de-escalate it a little bit, and they were really good at throwing elbows at the pirates. Or I don't remember that movie super well either.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. It's fun to have a character who's inexplicably really good at fighting when it's a bunch of children.
That's so fun. It's sort of like the movie sort of has like babysitter club vibes where like everybody's can be distilled down to like she's cool and fashionable, she's hardworking and responsible, she can kick your ass. Like it's like very
Right.
fun. Like I want that. I want to be the Kung Fu of my friend group.
I was gonna say, so you want to be the Kung Fu? That implies that you don't think you are the Kung Fu.
No, I'm sure I'm not. But like
So
that's
who do you
who
think
I
you
want
are?
to be.
What's your nickname?
Oh, of the 6 offered, you could also be a pile of bananas.
Or of the 6, but also I'd be interested to hear what Allie's.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like if it was my label completely like from scratch, it'd probably be like scamp. It'd be like, oh, that little like getting into trouble over there. What's she doing? Why is she committing to that bit for so long? But I think of the girls, but I aspire to be a Kung Fu and probably a more just like probably Prof, maybe Melody. Just being like, oh my God,
Oh,
where'd
yeah.
the time go? I've been playing this piano for 6 hours and now my fingers are gone.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, it bit me. I'm gonna keep playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also come in
Yeah.
and she's like, it really felt like an animal bit me. And they're like, well,
And she's
it
like,
didn't. And she goes,
you're
you're
right.
right.
You're
He's
right.
like,
Ding, 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 ding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Back to it.
Okay. Allie's melody. Jordan is
Gorgeous.
gorgeous.
Jordan is gorgeous for
I
sure.
was gonna say trampoline, but yeah, if we're sticking with the existing
Trampoline!
tropes.
Is that one of them?
No, I mean
we're
it's
saying
not.
we're
but
making it. It's like I'm saying
Oh.
if I was Scamp, your trampoline. Because you're like,
Why?
guys, I can't travel without my trampoline, so you can go have your thinking time on the trampoline by yourself.
Yeah, because
And
if we had
then-
to if we had to boil your whole personality down to one thing, it would be the years you
Trampoline.
spent in middle school.
Wow,
jumping
you
it
guys
out on the
remember that better
trampoline.
than I do. I was like, what the hell?
You told us that you've done all your best thinking on a trampoline.
Dude, no,
I
yeah,
think
you're
of that a
right.
lot.
Actually, I made a high school side project, not my main band, called Midnight Trampoline. Anyway,
Oh.
because my girlfriend and I used to hang out on a trampoline at night, and we were in the band together.
You told us that, and that's why we know you love trampolines.
Trampolines are dope. You guys ever
See,
been on
it
one?
is your personality.
You freaking city people, you don't even know what a trampoline is like. The joy, the unfettered freedom.
I
Ugh.
didn't grow up in the city. I grew up in the suburbs where trampolines were plentiful, but never at my house because they're dangerous and you could get injured and sued.
Yeah, that's right. Rant away, baby.
I had no
I
choice.
wanna-
We didn't have any
I wanna hear
trampolines, so we get sued.
I want to hear
Sorry.
from Brian. Brian, why do you love Hausu?
Oh,
I thought you were going to ask about trampolines.
well, I thought you were going to ask what Brian's
Weigh in on
nickname
trampolines.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, that too.
Ask me what?
What's your nickname?
What's your one word distilled nickname?
Goblin.
That's good.
That's a
Goblin?
really good one,
I
actually.
do
Trash
like
can?
that.
Like UB Goblin?
Trash can. Trash can. Why do they call you trash can? Trash can.
Because I live in the trash.
I live in the trash can.
And I throw the trash all over the ring.
I'm in the trash can. I eat garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage.
All right. Well,
Goblin. Yeah, I like that.
let's go to the.
That's it. He never said why I liked the movie. That's fine.
Yeah.
We just believe.
Oh yeah. Wait. Why do you like the movie?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's like very Lynchian in kind of how weird and childish it is, but also spooky scary. And honestly, I think the first time I saw this,
Wolf
I was like
becoming men.
not into scary movies.
Yeah.
Like I did not like being jump scared. I did not like haunted houses. So this was like
I'm
a
there,
great
man.
way to like be like, oh, there's other types of like scary movies.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree with that. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Goblin.
Somebody's gonna be like, "What the hell? This is my pure review. Where did that come from? I'm here for something very specific that I am not finding." All right. So, speaking of, let's throw to the unwashed masses. Right? Unless you guys, did you have anything else that you wanted to? At some point, I wrote down what's the line between artistic and wacky bullshit, and I think this movie really explores that.
Yes.
Although, it leans a lot more to wacky bullshit, but that doesn't mean it's not fun or interesting.
I also think that when a director has the balls to be like, some of this is going to be wacky bullshit, you'll see. As long as it feels intentional, as long as it feels in the same world, I do genuinely get the sense that this person is extremely aware of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And was for 1977, 1976, maybe even before, because like this kind of was in production hell for a little bit of time too.
Right.
Trying some really interesting stuff with cameras. And there's a moment, I think it's like right before the big stuff with the vanity, like the fire stuff, but it's like earlier when you see Gorgeous and they're like, I wonder where Gorgeous went after her bath. And like you see that she went to her aunt's vanity. There's like 3 reflections that you can see in camera and they're all doing something slightly different.
Yeah.
Which feels like a real predator, pre-predator, which was like a real precursor to things we do in modern cinema a lot. Like it's like in Black Swan. It's in everything.
Yeah.
And
The Don't Worry Darling trailer.
it's in the Don't Worry Darling trailer, the height of cinema.
Cinema.
That's how you know it's really good when they say it's cinema. like theater.
Didn't that one get like a 17-hour clap or whatever? Or there was like that brief window where they told us how much clap every movie had.
They love
Yeah.
to do that, but I don't understand what's going on with the audiences there. Why is anyone clapping for anything for that long?
Yeah,
You don't
go
need
home.
Go home. Don't you have kids? Go home.
I'll admit, there's sometimes I'll watch a good Star Wars in my house on Disney Plus, and I'll just sit there.
And clap for 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Kids, get in here. We're clapping for Star Wars.
Oh, the whale had one, right? But there were several.
No.
Don't
Don't Worry, Darling had like a 7 to 10 minute standing ovation as well, and then immediately the reviews came out and they were like, "Yes, and it's like, so then what was all the clapping for?"
Oh, it's 4 minutes. Well, that's not
All right.
5 minutes. Oh, I guess there's controversy.
Say what?
I don't know. I don't care.
So my only other thought is, okay, if we got this old lady or ghost lady or whatever she is, and she knows that she needs to consume young girls, unmarried girls, to keep her whatever spirit alive, why does she wait for her niece to write her a letter? And if she's capable of writing a letter back, why doesn't she just invite her niece and all of her friends to come party at her like mansion in the
That's a good question.
Is it?
you know?
I was gonna say like maybe it's one of those things where you have to go willingly or else it doesn't work. But then I was like, but she was luring the girls of the town into her house on the auspices of giving them piano lessons.
True.
So that does kind of break that.
Yeah. It's just very funny that she's like, oh, where am I going to find like teens and tweens that aren't married yet? I wish I knew one that was friends with a bunch more, but I don't.
I'm going to take that clip of
Oh.
you saying only that out of context and just put it everywhere.
We're gonna put that on TikTok. And it's gonna blow up.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
only logical flaw in this movie.
Right. Great. So the masses. Scuttlefield asks, "Am I the only one who thinks that Brian reminds them of Eddie Munson from Stranger Things?"
Ooh.
Brian, do you get that? Brian, do you get that a lot?
Eddie Munster.
Oh,
Stranger
I
Things.
blocked
You get Eddie
I've never
Munster a
gotten
lot?
that before, but I'm also not surprised.
I will say
It's also an incredibly recent thing in
I
general.
went
So-
back to teaching children not long ago because of the semester starting, which coincided with Stranger Things. And I got Eddie Munson a lot because of my hair. So we can be in the same boat.
Well, we look identical, so they don't even know. We do sister on this show, and sometimes it's me and sometimes it's Allie.
Yep. And
Sorry, I was having
sometimes
fun
it's Jesse, and
mirroring it.
sometimes it's a less angry Bill Burr.
Whoa!
Dun, dun, dun,
Whoa.
ba, ba, ba.
You don't know how I feel inside.
And or Bill Burr and Mr. Rogers' Love Child. Ba, ba, ba. I don't know
Whoa.
why people are doing this. Did
It's-
anybody
I
do
like-
anything for me? What
keep
do
them
I get?
coming. Keep them coming until they're insulting.
Damn it. All right. What do you think about the daughter getting writing credit? I think we kind of covered that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that she got like official credit is honestly kind of cute. It's like, how would the daughter ever know if it was just like she got an official credit on the movie versus like just they had an idea? Like, I like that. That's
But
That's-
funny.
also,
that's
is it one of those
nepotism.
things where it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, I got my daughter in the movie, and the union minimum is $200,000. Who? Oh, I got really excited about that. I was like, I'm gonna put my daughter in the
Union minimums.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's sweet, but also like they are making literal money from it. Like it's
Tonight,
not
can you ask your daughter
to write a horror movie with me?
if she had to come up with a scary story, like what her scary story would be?
Yes,
Please.
It's very fun.
I will.
Please. Oh my
I'll
god,
put it on TikTok. I just gotta mine these kids for content. It's just so dumb that I haven't done that yet. I will say the one video that my daughter appears in is the highest watched Your Brain on Cracked ever.
wow.
There you go.
What
Little
is she?
star
Yeah.
in the making.
So it's a gender swap, ironically, and it's at the end I put my wife in there, and it's like twist, we gender swap, and then we do the end title cards, and it's like twist, now I'm a baby.
Does your daughter have any lines?
She couldn't speak at the time.
Oh, I guess it's the
Well, that's
baby
good,
one. I
Because then we'd
Yeah.
have to pay her.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We have a lot of union
Set it
involvement
under 5.
in our podcast and such. All right. So also Jesse looks like he could sell solar panels. Also,
Is this a read or
I
a
just might.
compliment?
also you're full Walter White, even though you apparently aren't mean.
Wait, this is fun because
and
this is
I'm
all
not
from
good
the
at
same.
science.
This is all from the same person.
Yeah,
So that
I
means,
think somebody's got a crush.
or they were like, this discussion is boring. I'm gonna just spend the next hour finding ways to read Jesse's ass.
Maybe, maybe I can appeal to his vanity and get him to shut up.
Babadook meets Suspiria meets the Goonies meets Japan. Sure. Is this Monster House? I don't know. Do any of you have thoughts on that?
I have seen Monster House. I took my little brother to see it in theaters because I'm a good older sister. In that movie, it's also about grief and not being able to move on. So kinda.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted to hear?
What about Gozu?
Never, don't know him.
Great.
It's pronounced Goku, but you wouldn't know that.
Oh, I know him.
Everybody is mad at you for your suggestion of remaking this movie. So
How about that, Mr. Rogers?
yeah, eat that.
Oh, is my suggestion?
Oh, it was
don't-
Allie's suggestion.
I didn't say I wanted this.
You
remade.
said I'd love to see it with modern effects.
I said I wanted to see that one part where her skin cracks off and it reveals her as a fiery thing, and then it's like her looking at flame and being flame. I literally want to see only that one part.
You were very explicit that just that one scene you would like to see.
I think the idea
and uncomfortable.
I went in depth about what I want to see about it. No, just like I think that imagery is so spectacular, and I think that if it had been in a movie from 2020, we would have been terrified. I like the intentional cheapness, experimentalness of this movie. I don't want to see it done any other way. There's that literally is just one very impactful part that I don't know. You know that meme of the guy sitting in a chair angrily, but it's like just like a lava person. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever had to try to explain a meme to somebody? This sucks.
Oh no, but I bet
Decent
there's a Cracked
dignity.
article about it.
Woof. I actually tried to explain those are his hooves, you bitch, to my I was gonna say fiance, my husband's mom once. And we just kind of got into a 20-minute circle where I was like, oh, I have to go deeper in explaining that. Okay, so why was he wearing socks? Great question. Like that was a long, don't ever try and explain a meme.
I'm not even familiar with that one.
But to be fair, the effects were kind of bad all around, but it's okay because it's pretty much. I don't think that's true, but I also think if they're going to remake a scene for modern audiences, maybe where she gets out of the bath, we could do that one.
Oh yeah,
she gets out of the bath.
Yeah, he likes when she stands up and you see the boobs.
I just feel like we could get a real modern spin on that, with modern effects.
Yeah, I thought the nipples all looked like fake nipples.
The green screen nipples on there, and I was like, I want CG.
The same nipple.
I think they had a lot of decent effects. I mean, they went really hard with it, but I bet there's a way to make a piano eat somebody that isn't entirely hand drawn or largely hand drawn, but it wouldn't look nearly as crazy. It doesn't matter. Movie doctor, cannonballer, gender reversa. What a team! All right,
what a team.
That's us.
That's us.
Throw some money in the chat so that our CEO can go to dinner.
So we can never see it.
Brian says there's something about art and collaboration between a parent and child, and that's true. And that's why I'm going to start turning my daughters into content factories. And my new son coming soon.
Coming soon to theaters. Coming soon to a theater near you.
Valentine's Day 2023.
They never say that anymore.
Baby
you know what I'm saying?
breeding.
Don't you miss the days of coming soon to a theater near you? They never say that anymore.
Coming soon to streaming.
Yeah. To your house.
Chapter Black says, I have difficulty telling whether camp is intentional or not, because it had this and Suspiria, and they're similar, and that they're psychedelic horror movies that have varying degrees of camp.
I will say, I think Suspiria is a much scarier movie than Hausu. I think even if you can't stomach horror, you could probably watch Hausu. It's like suspenseful, and there's some weird imagery, but it is like by no means a scary movie. Suspiria is scary. There's scary moments of that movie. There's definitely like campy moments also, but like it is definitely much more successful at being a horror film. Also, something that's fun about camp is that I bet you if you went to a director who made a campy movie and said, was that on purpose? They'd go, that's exactly what I wanted you to ask. So you'll never get an answer. It's just the vibe, you know?
Or they would say, no, damn it.
No
also,
answers,
I just realized that you and I changed our names back to our Twitter handles, but Jesse didn't, and you're still Juicy Thighs, man.
Oh, we talked about it. Jesse's doubling down.
Oh, good.
Jesse's been doing a lot of squats.
Good for you.
I've been in-
Hey, good for you.
I've been in touch with Twitter to try and get my handle changed to Juicy Thighs Man, so that I don't have to change it here in this one cast.
Good.
So we'll let you know where that ends up. Coming February 2023, Juicy Thighs Man, the Twitter handle. Yes, Scuttlefield, everyone is judged by whether they get the clap. If you have it, prepare to be judged.
Welcome to the team.
Welcome to the club. We all got it. All right, so here's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna pivot to alternate titles, of which we have very few in the chat. I got a couple. But anybody got any that they want to?
Go
Got
for it.
none.
No.
All I had butt bucket. I had bucket of butt. I had green screen, which feels like I was gonna add something to that, but then I never did.
It was a dog.
Green screen.
Bananas everywhere. And then just the boobs, but that came from today. That was sort of Jesse said it, and I liked it, and I feel like that would probably get a lot more clicks. To be totally honest,
There's a good chance that every movie we've watched that has boobs, I say something like "just the boobs."
Just the boobs.
Just
What
the
about
boobs.
Prof and Kung Fu's infinite piano?
insolent playlist, incontinent playlist.
Panic at the Hausu.
I like
Ooh.
that actually.
I like that one actually.
Okay, I have
too.
two. I have two real ones. I got Snow White and the Seven Tropes. We didn't
Wow.
talk much at all about Blanche the Cat.
We love Blanche the cat. Evil
Love a
little
kitty
bastard.
cat.
I don't like pets anymore.
And you don't like pets? Oh, because
I'm done with pets.
what's her name? Ate my
Because he
sandwich.
ate Jesse's sandwich.
Oh yeah, right. I just don't like,
Okay.
I don't like them.
I'll take him. I like him. Okay, last one for me is the jars have teeth.
Yeah, well, sure.
In the cadence of the hills have eyes.
Yeah.
You
We
see?
got that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
to the-
Okay,
to
fine.
the tune of.
How about the jars have hands?
Do they? I know they
don't
have teeth. I don't know that they have hands. They do have
Um,
eyes because the piggy bank wears her glasses at one point.
That
In
is
this
Is there a
one
way
room.
to do Jaws but with an Australian accent so it sounds more like jars?
Jars.
Jars.
Oh no, it's jars.
know.
There we go.
Wow, it's suddenly less scary.
Jars.
Thank you for watching this crazy movie with me.
That's great.
Long ago,
Whatever.
when we were making lists of movies we wanted to do for this podcast, this was like one of the top ones on my list where I was like,
Hmm.
I think we'll have fun. So I've wanted to do this for a while and I appreciate it. So thank you.
It was great.
Yep.
I loved. I'm with Brian in so far as I don't love most scary ass things, and this is like not scary, but it's like perfectly Halloweeny. So
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that to my
I think
attention.
Brian likes scary things now.
Well, they
would be
do
my
now. Yeah,
guess. Brian's
as evidenced
made us
by
watch Titan, which
Yeah.
is scary
Scary in
Just-
its own way.
This
thematically.
movie-
No, just kidding.
this film. Did not get me as horny as Titan did, unfortunately.
I think Titan ruined my ability to ever feel anything below the waist.
Wow.
Um,
I keep thinking about
this is my last child.
men because we like saw that too for this podcast. And like, you
Oh,
know, when you like
yeah.
when your brain keeps coming back to a movie and you're like, oh my god, you're both drinking water at the same time. Twins.
Oh my god.
You know, like normally you keep coming back to something because I don't know if your brain's trying to like make a new thought or it's not finished or whatever. And I just keep coming back to that movie, and the more and more I think about it, the more I don't like it.
Don't mind me just dropping by.
Yay,
Angel
thanks,
gave us
Angel.
$2. Our CEO will spend that judiciously, hopefully.
Woo!
Yeah, Men
Um,
was fucking something.
And it
man.
was scary. Like when
was scary.
we weirdly saw quite a few horror movies for this podcast, specifically in theaters. We saw Nope in theaters. We saw Barbarian in theaters. We saw Men in theaters. Yay!
We did it.
We did it. But that one was both scary and I think I dislike it more and more every time I think about it.
I like
I don't know.
rewatching it in my brain, but I didn't enjoy the experience.
I think it's because it shines a light on how men act in real life. Men be shedding
Given
their mortal
birth.
coils over and over in a cyclical pattern.
Yeah, you know what? Here's my new stand-up act where it's like women and men are so different. Women be luring you into their house to eat you as a house, and men be giving birth to themselves. Men be like, ugh, and women be like, was that good?
And then Crack's gonna write an article just trying to summarize that sort of
that one little bit.
Yeah, that bit. So okay, all right. So Alex, you went up on stage. It was really funny. So all right, let me just okay. Have you ever heard of Men? Do you know Alex Garland? Have you ever heard of Ex Machina? All right, don't worry. It doesn't really matter for the context. So like Britain. Anyway.
What about okay. Brian does have the secret Jordan tapes in which he's caught on tape explaining somebody else's answer in a game show.
Oh yeah.
Explaining somebody else's answer.
There was we have a new game show coming out and it's gonna be good, I hope. But
coming to theaters this fall.
Yeah.
I pitched it to everyone as you gotta be aggressive and fast. And so Jesse aggressively asked everybody what their answers were again because he kept forgetting. And so I quickly was like, she said this, and she's like, wow, you're speaking over me, etc.
Way to mansplain my answer.
And so I fired her and I docked her pay, so she made less than all the other contestants.
Oh, that's good. That's reasonable.
I do almost hope that makes it because that was actually a really funny moment. I thought she really got your ass.
So we could definitely do it as like an outtake, but it's not. I've tried to cut every instance of you saying, wait, I don't remember how the game is going.
You should cut every instance of that. I would be appalled if you kept any of that in there.
Yeah, so it kind of needs that for that. Maybe we could work it in. Also, that one's going to be last because that's the one where you and I are both like, how does this game work? And so it's not quite as much fun to watch as the first one, but we'll release it someday. We're losing a lot of people. That's fine. Who gives a crap? Watch PictoFacts only on Cracked.
Only
subscription platform.
Ryan's editing Scooby-Doo, so get ready for a Scooby-Doo video first.
Wow.
And it might take a while because it's filmed much like Jesse is filmed right now, in the bowels of some deep cathedral or something.
It's garden level.
Right. So we should end now, probably.
Sounds
unless
great.
anybody has. Where can we find you, juicy thighs, man?
I don't know, the squat rack.
Hell yeah. Woo!
You can find me getting jacked like Kung Fu herself, my hero.
Yeah. But
or on Twitter at Miss Alice.
Okay. But specifically, okay. And you can find me at the _J_breeding on the Twitter, and you can Google me and you can follow my YouTube channel because someday I promise I will post something. It'll be so good. And I might get fired. It just depends on if I get fired before or after or during. I know that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do these movies, but they say it takes too long, so I want to put them on my own thing.
Wow.
We should probably end this before.
Rebel without a cause, am I right?
Oh, I have a cause. It's
Jordan's
being tied up in a basement and watching horror movies with my friend Dave. That's all I want.
Jordan's got to jump this one out, man. Get to the bottom of this. Shake it up in his brain a little.
Yeah. Well, I got to go teach a student.
Oh yeah.
I got to put a pie in the oven apparently. So
ooh,
I'm down to hang out if anybody wants to stick around.
He wants to hang out with Bill Burr.
But less angry, but also Walter White, but also Mr. Rogers.
All the above.
Child. All right, that's it. I'm going. I'm clicking the button. Bye.
Bye.